Hey, what's going on, YouTubers? Thanks for hanging out. Today I'm doing a review on the Gold Tip Airstrikes that I shot last year. Stick around. You'll find out whether I think they're legit or I think they're Let me start this video by saying I'm not sponsored by anyone. This is all stuff that I've bought myself. I've built these arrows. I'll put a link up there. It's one of those sides. I'll put it up there that goes through why I chose this arrow. And then there's a couple of videos on how I put them together. So these are the 300 spines. I'm running some Ethics Archery Outserts, the OzCut Broadheads, the AEA Max vanes, and a wrap on the back and some lighted nocks from Nocturnal. So look, let me start out by saying this. I took 5 animals last year with this particular arrow setup. I got 3 whitetails, a cow nilgai, and a cow elk. This particular arrow here, that's broken in half. Well, it's actually broken in 3 parts, but there's a section missing. This was from the nilgai that I got in Texas, and I'll get into details on this a little bit on what I think went on there. But the 3 whitetails and the elk, I had clean pass-throughs. I actually lost the arrow from the elk. I didn't recover it. I was hunting in the snow. I'll put a link to that video here as well. Yeah, so let me give you my initial feel for it. I think the integrity of these arrows is really good. Even though this one's broken in half from the nilgai, I still think these are an excellent arrow. The issue we had here with this is with the nilgais, you need to shoot pretty much through their front shoulders. Their lungs and their heart are a lot further forward than elk and whitetail. So this 530 grain arrow plowed through that nilgai, and I haven't cleaned it since I came back, and on that video, and you might be able to see it here, I'll come in and get a close-up, but there is blood right up to the fletchings. So what we think happened here is this went through the front shoulder, started going out through the cavity chest into the second shoulder, and then the animal took a step forward as this arrow was halfway through it. And given it was in the shoulder, that movement coming forward has just snapped it there on one side of the chest cavity, on the entry side, and this one just on the outside of that shoulder that I went through. So, you know, that animal, we didn't get an official weight, but the people down at Laguna Atascosa gave an estimate of about 325 to 350 pounds. And, you know, she's a big animal, as you'll see in the video that I'll link up here. But she only went 80 yards, and I think this was the way that it played out, the shot placement, and how the animal took off. I think that's why it broke it. On the elk, clean pass through, hence the reason I didn't get my arrow back. And the white tails that I shot, I'll put some clips in here. Maybe I'll run it in slow motion as I'm talking. But the 3 white tails, straight through, no problem, all at about 20 yards. And all 3 times the whitetail were already moving before the arrow got to them. As I said before, this arrow, 530 grains. I'm shooting a Mathews VXR, 68 pounds. The sight tape saying 276 feet per second. We'll give that plus minus a little bit, but kind of where you want to be in terms of speed to tune an arrow that's 530 grains, 16% FOC. So I don't think I'd go any heavier, but this 300 grain held up really well for that. But where I'm going with that, the pass-throughs all buried up about a foot into the dirt on the other side. So these arrows have gone straight through the whitetail, broadheads buried into the dirt, like I said, up to about a foot, and I'll see if I can put some photos in here. Things I don't like about it. So I'll get a close-up again of the one that I got the nilgai with that broke, and I'll also put some of the footage from the hunt. It's hard to see blood on the arrow afterwards. It's got this slick coating on it. I'll put the name up here, I can't remember, but we'll go to the website and put up what they call it. I think it certainly helps aiding zipping through the animal, but looking at the blood afterwards, it looks pretty thin compared to say your standard carbon shaft where you don't have any of this coating on it. And the first couple of whitetail I shot, it caught me by surprise. I wasn't sure whether it was a good shot or not. The thing that gave it away was the blood on the fletching or on the veins. And that was just one thing that, you know, you don't get that instant feedback as well as you do on the arrows without the coating. But I tell you what, if this coating is aiding in that easy pass through in the animal, I think that's a fair trade-off. The other thing, when I built these arrows, and you'll see it in the video, the process I had to go through, you had to sand down the front a little. This one not so much. So the Ethics stuff that came, this had a slightly larger inside diameter, but if I grab this one, we should be able to see it pretty clearly. You'll see that I had to sand down the front part of the arrow, and that was to allow the collar from Ethics Archery to get on. So it gets on now without any problem. Right at the end it starts to get stiff where this coating is. So it's just a very small thing you have to do. It takes a little bit of time to do it. Again, I think it's worth it if this is doing what it says it does, and I guess my initial feedback is that it does aid in going through the animal, makes it a lot more slippery, if you will, going through. That's probably it, to be honest. I don't have a lot of other drawbacks. These tuned really well for me. I got really good flight out of them. It took a little bit to tune them, but I guess that happens with any arrow, and particularly this one, I'm probably pushing the limits on the amount of weight up front, including the broadhead and the collar system. I've got 230 grains up front on a 300 spine shooting at 68 pounds out of that Mathews. I'm not so sure I could wind that up much further. I would suggest if I went to 70 pounds, the spine would just be too soft. If I put another, instead of 100 grain, put 125 grain broadhead on the front, I think I'd probably be in the same position. My field points and these broadheads are flying exactly the same. So I have the system tuned really nicely for that. But anyway, my overall take is these airstrikes are a good arrow. I intend to hunt with them again in 2022. I would like to try the Victory Rip TKOs in the 300s as well, just to see any difference. I might buy 6, like I bought 6 of these, give it a bit of a go. I'd probably build an arrow a little bit lighter in the front end, but yeah, all in all, these airstrikes, I'd recommend them. Get out there, give them a go. I reckon you'll enjoy them as well. We'll catch you on the next one. Oh, actually, before I forget, got a parcel this week. I'll be unboxing it on the next video, and there'll be a giveaway that'll come with this. So stick around, watch the next video, and you could win yourself something. All right, we'll catch you on the next one.